Calling 2022 CR 10214B, State of Texas versus Gracie Segundo. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense?
Javier Oliva and Bradley Bellis for the defendant.
Are you Gracie Segundo?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. According to the plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 7 years in the prison. There's a $500 fine. The state is opposing your application for deferred adjudication. They're recommending community supervision, and there are items to be taken in consideration. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report? Objections to the PSI report, state or defense?
Judge, so there are some errors on the PSI report that we wanted to bring to your attention.
Yes.
So it lists the offense date as, I believe, November 16th of 2021, when in reality, the offense date that's on the indictment is October 16th of 2021.
All right.
And it lists that in the criminal history. There's an assault within the criminal history that it makes it seem as if they're two separate offense dates. And then I think in the, towards the back of the actual statement itself that Ms. Segundo gave, there's a portion where it's talking about the co-defendant and that he's charged with ag assault deadly weapon. It's assault SBI. It's the same offense.
Okay.
We just wanted to make sure you were aware.
All right. And the court is also in receipt of victim impact statement, and the court reviewed that without objections from the state or defense. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the court is also in receipt of letters that defense presented on behalf of the accused, and there were no objections to the court reading those letters. Is that correct, state and defense?
No objection, state judge.
All right, so the court has reviewed all of those documents.
Your Honor, I also raised that the part of the agreement of coming back today was that the misdemeanor occurred on the same day of this alleged date, was to be taken into consideration with CC County Court 4 case 69-3701.
Yes, and the court does have that as a part of the plea bargaining agreement.
And Judge, just to kind of expand on that, I believe as an additional part of the plea agreement was that she was to take responsibility for what happened as a part of the TIC.
Yes. Okay. All right. So my understanding, the complainant in this case is Rebecca Martinez.
Yes.
All right. And is that the Rebecca Martinez who's on the fourth court?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, sir.
All right.
President courtroom.
So that everybody can be aware, I do know Rebecca Martinez. She's never been to dinner at my house. I've never been to dinner at her house, but I do know her. We are colleagues. And when I see her, I say hello. She says hello to me. I may ask her about her day. She may ask me about my day. But I will tell you that my decision on this case is not going to be impacted by the fact that I know her. So if anyone has any objections to me hearing this, now is the time to say so. State.
This moment right here sets the courtroom on edge. The victim isn't just anyone. She's a sitting judge. And yet, the judge handling this case lays down a powerful reminder. Titles don't matter in his courtroom. It's a bold stance in a room where power dynamics could easily skew justice.
Argument. State, you're opposed to deferred adjudication?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason why the state is opposed is because of the nature of the offense, the actual underlying facts. It was an assault that occurred where the resulting assault created a lot of issues for the complainant. She was severely injured. Her life was severely impacted from that day forward, and she still feels the impact to this day. It's something that was senseless and didn't need to happen in the first place. So that's why the state is opposing deferred and is asking for probation.
You can feel the weight in the prosecutor's voice. They're not just opposing deferred adjudication out of routine. They're saying someone's life was permanently changed. The way they frame it, this wasn't just a scuffle. It was serious trauma.
Find a person for the rest of their life. And this is very serious. And no doubt we take that very seriously. This is a felony charge. It's a felony charge that carries a very significant penalty. But Ms. Segundo, I think, has demonstrated a respect not only to others, but to life and to animals, and in her work and her career in taking care of pets. Rarely do I have an opportunity to where a client will provide 32 letters of reference about how wonderful she is with caring for others. And that is the life that she defines herself with. We just feel like this should not define her as a felon for the rest of her life when she has 4 children as a single mother. We know that life is difficult and it's very, very, very hard. And she's having to raise 4 children on her own, ages 15, 14, 12, and 10. As a single mother, she has to be involved in their school activities and support their activities with FAA. And a felon cannot be associated with children and be around them in school activities. This would drastically impair her ability to be a mother to her children. And so she's really fighting to be able to continue to provide the love and the support of 4 children that need their mother so that they can become better than her and have a future. She lives in Houston. She leases a home. She's lived in that home for 3 years. She has good family support. As I've said, her mother and father are present. She has a high school diploma. She has been employed during this whole time. This case is 2 years old. 2 years this week, this happened. And it's been 2 years that she has been experiencing this, and she has complied with everything this court has asked. She's appeared in court. She's traveled from Houston to San Antonio. She has fully cooperated. She has weighed all of her decisions and sought not to seek a trial, but to put the decision on deciding her future on you. She made that decision because she felt that was in her best interest. She does receive some child support. She is willing to do everything and anything that it takes to give her this opportunity. I explained to her that deferred adjudication is a double-edged sword. You may think that you're not going to be subject to a conviction, but in actuality, you are subject to all the conditions and behavior for 7 years. We're asking you, Judge, to give her that chance, to give her the opportunity to prove to you that this one incident does not define her life or who she is or how she is as a mother or how she works. This case was very regrettable, and it should have been a day of celebration. It was after a football game, and she was acting in defense of another. She doesn't know the victim in this case. She doesn't know the judge. She never knew who she was. And I sincerely believe that just because she's a judge doesn't mean that this case should be treated any different than any other case of any other person who comes to this court and gets justice, because she should get an opportunity. She's willing to do the urine analysis. She's willing to state no contact, and she's had no issues in the last 2 years with the defendant, the complainants in this case. She's willing to take anger management classes. She's willing to do community service. She's willing to do what it takes to give her the chance. Other than this one incident that happened in a flash, wasn't premeditated, it wasn't thought of. It was just something in a reaction and defense of someone that she was with. And for that reason, we think that she should be given an opportunity.
This is where it gets heartbreaking. A single mother of 4, begging not for freedom, but for a chance. Her lawyer paints a picture of a woman who nurtures animals, who works hard, who's done everything right except for this. And this might cost her everything. Her job, her kids, her identity.
In this court, I see everybody as a human being. I don't see them as their titles. So for me, defendants are not defendants. They're human beings who are accused of a crime. The fact that Rebecca Martinez is a judge, that I'm putting weight on the fact that she's a judge. She were the president of the United States and she were here as a complainant, I wouldn't put weight on the fact that she's the president of the United States. I'm just dealing with the facts here. And my job is to look at everything objectively and not outside noise, not what people's occupations are. You understand? Always reread everything and reread police reports and the PSI report. And I've read the letter. I do not understand how the fact that an elevator has a limited capacity, how we go from people saying the elevator is full, you cannot be in an elevator to.
The judge's honesty here is chilling. Why didn't you just get off the elevator? He asks. It's the million-dollar question. How does a packed elevator turn into a felony? We're watching the tension between impulse and consequence in real time.
How an elevator is at capacity, people need to get off or more people can't come on, how that ends up in.
I couldn't tell you how it started. I just, somebody in my party was getting into it and somebody hit me and I just reacted. Unfortunately, I feel bad. And should never have done that. Shouldn't have got to that. It just happened really quick.
I know things happen quickly, but the police report I'm reading, it doesn't say that somebody in your party got in an altercation and you got hit, and so therefore you got into a fight. What your counsel is telling me is that somebody in your party, I guess, was in a fight, and then you decided to get involved in that fight.
I went to go and try and pull my friend away, and then I don't know, it was just a bunch of people and somebody.
Her voice cracks a little. She didn't go looking for a fight. She says she got hit and reacted. Is it believable? That's for the judge to decide. But for us as viewers, it's a haunting example of how milliseconds can change your life.
Right.
Your Honor.
You're welcome. If you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
David Martinez.
All right, state.
Mr. Martinez, from your memory, what occurred on that day?
On that day, we were in line to get into the elevator. The capacity of the elevator, of course, as I mentioned, was 18. But because of the COVID era, there was an elevator attendant there. She said only 8 could be allowed. We were 3 couples and 2 children, which were a total of 8. As we walked in, we were already in the elevator. They decide to come in behind us. The elevator attendant told them they need to step out. It's full. They had been intoxicated. Her friend.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No, they were
No.
intoxicated.
Yeah, here's the thing. Where you cannot address the attorney. Once an objection is, no problem. Once the objection is raised, just stop speaking. I'll make a ruling on the objection. I'll let you know if you can continue or not, if you have a question about that. That objection will be overruled.
He came in, stood at the door, prevented the door from closing. Began
Objection, Your Honor. I just asked for clarification from the ones. I don't know who he is.
Which he are you speaking about, sir?
her partner. There was 2 gentlemen, which was the initial one that started arguing with us, and her partner that she was mentioning that walked in, and they were not. We were already in the elevator already when they decided to block the door from closing. Can't recall the individual's name, but it was a younger gentleman that was with her. He proceeded to argue with the elevator attendant about, letting them in or not, that it was BS, that they cannot be let in because there was a lot of room. And she told him he had to leave. He continued to argue with her, and he said that he wanted to talk to her supervisor. And she says, if that's the case, she shut off the elevator. And that's when words were back and forth. They continued berating us. She was cussing like a sailor, as well as the other ones. We kept quiet, and they started again arguing with us. We stayed in there. The kids were already getting terrified with what was going on. They started crying, and they continued with their vulgar language. And I just told them one time, that's it. If you, the gentleman that was with him, got upset, he literally from the outside ran into the elevator, knocked us all over, and assaulted all of us in there. I grabbed him and I pushed him out. It was not the individual that she says was in there. It was the other individual that was with him that probably hosted them to the game. And he and I went outside. And after that, what?
From there, sir, is that where everything happened? Pass it with this judge.
Any questions?
Mr. Martinez, I'll just start right from leaving the elevator. So by the time that you set foot out of the elevator, you're in the middle of a physical altercation. Is that right?
Yes, while I was on the ground.
Okay. How much were you able to perceive about what was happening around you while you were in the middle of that?
Well, I was
altercation?
on
If
the
you let
ground.
me finish my question.
It's
One
going to talk.
So my question was, how much were you able to perceive about what was going on around you during the middle of that physical altercation?
And I was not able to see when I was in the ground what was taking place after that.
Okay, and we can agree that the incident in question, the basis of this criminal case here today, is something that happened during the middle of your physical altercation, right?
While I was on the ground, yes. And then afterward, I did get up and partially saw my wife on the ground with a bloody nose. She was in a daze, and I asked her what happened. And I told her that she got hit. She said, yeah, I got hit multiple times. And I said, well, why didn't you defend yourself? She says, I couldn't because I was being held down.
Can you say for certainty whether or not Mr.
David Martinez's testimony is hard to ignore. He brings the chaos into focus. Children crying, bodies flying, doors being blocked. His wife ends up bloodied on the floor. His version makes it sound less like defense and more like escalation.
If there is any.
Your Honor, I think it's clear that Ms. Segundo did not start this incident, that her actions occurred outside the elevator as a result of defending another person. She doesn't deny that she struck Martinez, but this was a situation where she was struck as well. And we believe that this one incident that wasn't premeditated, it wasn't started or caused by her. You know, it reminds me of a penalty, and another individual comes in their aid, and then another flag comes up for a penalty, and they both get penalties. And in most cases in sports, that's offsetting. And I think in this case, at looking at the situation, looking at history since that day, that I think it would be fair to give this single mother a chance to continue her life and being a mother and working at her employment. So not to have this crash down on her with her children, with her workplace. We can't promise that she will keep her job upon this conviction. We cannot promise that she can be able to parent her children and be the primary caretaker of her children as a result of this conviction. But we can promise that if she is given a chance, she will do everything in her power to remain on probation for 7 years, to do what's right, so not to be considered a felon. A situation that she wished never had happened. There's no ill will here. There is no desire on her part to do anything but to move on with her life and pay what's owed, the $2,500, and do what it takes to win your trust. So we're asking, Judge, that deferred adjudication be given to this woman so that she can continue to do her life and do good for her children and her work and her community.
This final plea from the defense might be one of the most human moments in court. The lawyer compares it to football, offsetting penalties. He's not denying what happened, but he's begging for balance, for the court to weigh the aftermath and not just the moment.
State, any final arguments?
Your Honor, the concern from the state here is, again, the facts of the case. It's that, yes, she wasn't the instigator, but she chose to take it to this level. It was her choice to take this out on the complainant. It was her choice to get involved against the complainant and to not show the issue that this all started over something very trivial, that if just a little bit of patience, this would have all passed over. That moment that she decided to act how she did has affected the complainant from that day until today. And it's going to affect her past this. That's why the state is asking for probation.
The state doesn't budge. Their point is brutal in its simplicity. She chose this. The implication? If she had walked away, none of this would have happened. It's a sobering reality check.
All right. Ms. Segundo, I've listened to all arguments. I want you to know I paid very close attention to the arguments that were presented, to the witnesses, and to all of the documents that the court reviewed. I realize that sometimes when things happen, it's just a Snapchat or somebody's life, right? It doesn't mean that the person is a horrible person. And I'm sure if people could go back and change things, sometimes people are serious when they say, if I could go back and change things, I would. Maybe I never would have went to the game. I would have just let the elevator went. I would have taken the stairs. I understand that. We can't turn back the hands of time, right? And the problem in this case, and one of the things that I'm looking at is the fact that the complainant has serious injury. It has nothing, my consideration on whether they're a judge or not, that's not playing any factor in my decision. If she did not have that occupation, let's just say she worked at the HEB, then based upon her injuries, she wouldn't be able to work at the HEB. She wouldn't be able to stock. She wouldn't be able to stand and be a cashier. I don't know what they would have her doing at the HEB. You understand? So her injuries are very serious injuries. And I've read the report that was given to me about her injuries. And I've read the PSI report, and I've read police reports again in this case, because I always like to review things. So I understand that you're very sorry for what happened, but sometimes
The judge's final tone? Reflective, almost fatherly. He sees her humanity. He knows one act shouldn't define a life, but sometimes, in court, it has to. And that's what makes these moments so heartbreaking.